and welcome back to my channel. I know we haven't seen each other again for some time. I apologize. We had some personal stuff going on and another lockdown in UK, and I've been a bit low recently. I came up with the idea, since we're on lockdown. If you're not on lockdown yet, you're probably going to be soon. I would like to talk to you about my favorite series that I've watched. Not so popular ones. Mainly I will avoid the most known titles that I can suggest you, and I will tell you why I enjoyed them so much, so maybe you can find something for yourself. I'm a Netflix addict and I watch so many series, you have no idea. Top 10 series that in my opinion you have to watch. Let's go. Right, so number one, everyone who knows me personally will not be surprised by this choice because I love this series so much. I've watched it already 3 times. And number one that you must watch, in my opinion, is Sense8. So this is a series on Netflix. It's from 2015-2016. For me, it's one of the most underrated series I've ever seen because there was not much advertising going on, and I feel that this is such a shame because this is one of the best in terms of editing, in terms of scenario, in terms of scenes, story, that everything combined together. In my opinion, this is one of the best series I've ever seen, and that's why I'm coming back to it. I will not tell you in detail too much about what is the story about because I believe that I can really easily spoil for you many things, but we have 8 different people in 8 completely different parts of the world, different countries speaking different languages. It is in between a little bit of a drama, sci-fi, psychological action series. You need to kind of get through first 3-4 episodes because you're not gonna have any idea, no clue what is actually going on there. The idea is quite complicated. We start from a really weird scene in a church. I can actually tell you because this is the first episode. Basically, the woman is kind of giving birth, but there's no child, and she's screaming, and she's in some kind of weird white dress in the middle of abandoned church in Chicago. And then we kind of start getting introduced to different characters as well. So we have a policeman working in Chicago as well. We have Naomi, who is transgender woman. We have Riley, she's from Iceland and she lives in London and she's a DJ. We have Wolfgang, who is in Berlin, Germany, and he's a thief. We have Lito, who is I believe Mexican superstar. He's an actor, but he's also gay, and he plays in movies when he's this like macho man or whatever. And the thing about the series is that for me there's no single character, no single personal story there that I wouldn't like and I wouldn't relate to in some level. There's a lot of cultural aspect to it. We have a lot of events that are coming from specific cultures in the meantime, and it was also filmed in all of these different parts of the world, which makes it really interesting and colorful. And we have a Rio festival, the carnival, and we also have some protests in India and protests in Kenya because there's no water, and you know, completely different lifestyles, completely different people, but it will make it magical the way it's filmed. I believe that this is the series that I would recommend to everyone who is an empathetic person, who appreciates the good editing and good scenes in series, and also likes to watch series that will really get them into the story, that if you enjoy watching the series, that you really want to live the life of the characters, this is a series for you. And number 2 will be completely different style, completely different type of series, because I sometimes enjoy something heavier that will really get me into watching, and sometimes I want something light, something that I don't really need to watch constantly, that I can do other things around. And I think this is the kind of series that I can really recommend you during the lockdown. And the series I'm talking about is called Dating Around. There are actually 2 seasons of it right now on Netflix. And this is, I'm not sure whether it's reality show or more of a documentary. I do believe that this is a series with a scenario, but it doesn't really matter, because the whole idea of it, that we can see one person going for 5 different dates, and these are the first dates, so he's or she's meeting 5 different people for the first time, and we can observe how they are interacting with each other, how the dates are going, and basically in the end we can figure out who this person chose to date for the second time. I personally find it interesting because I love the kind of psychology around dating and romance, and you know, watching people basically how they behave, because especially if you're dating as well, or if you've ever been dating, I think it's kind of fascinating to see how other people deal with it, and you know, all of these like little awkward moments, or like moments when you're like, oh, how cute. I think it's a really light, heartwarming, and also interesting thing to watch without being too heavy and too invasive in terms of your life. So that's number 2, dating around. And number 3, I don't know if many people know about this series. I want to mention it because I believe that this is also not really that known series for many groups of people. I kind of know it because I have a younger sister, and she's been through a phase when it was really popular for teenagers, but I wouldn't call it necessarily a teenagers only series. And the reason I mention this series is because of aesthetic of editing and how it looks like, and I'm talking about SKAM. I hope I pronounce it correctly. So SKAM is a Norwegian series that came out a few years ago, and basically the whole idea was that it was a series on the website, a specific TV that is online, and the episodes are really short. And the reason why it became so popular, because in the end of each episode you could see the date and the hour of the next episode showing up, and everyone would wait for this episode to show up so they can sit down and watch it. And you would kind of follow up the story with everyone else every single time, and the times were quite random as far as I know. Basically, what I really appreciate about this series, it's way more artsy and aesthetically pleasing. It may not be for every single person, but if you are into really nice captures, if you like to have a great scenery, a specific editing, great music, the whole atmosphere is really subtle, it's really delicate, that's the series I would definitely recommend you. Okay, series number 4. And this is a series I watched around a year ago, even though it is way older than that. And it's a series called Top Boy. And especially if you're from London, if you live in London, I think this is a series that will definitely interest you. Because this is a series of kind of drug dealing gangs, and it is a really heavy type of series. It's not easy to watch. It's involving children selling drugs, but basically it's like a street life, and it was made in London as well. You can really see and hear the specific London accent, the words that they use, the slang, which for me, as a person who's not from here, it feels kind of fascinating. The idea, the scenario and everything is really emotional, I would say, really upsetting that this is the reality that looks like for many children. It's about kind of low class, poverty, social, like immigrants living on benefits. Yeah, it's a hard to watch series. If you're into this kind of drug dealing gangs, or you live in London, around London, and you kind of enjoy this kind of atmosphere, I'm sure you're gonna enjoy this series as well. Number 5, and for many of you this series may be well known, for some of you probably not, because this is not a series on Netflix. I believe I watched it on HBO Go, but I'm not sure where exactly can you watch this one in here, but I'm gonna put it out there anyway. It is again kind of a young adult teenager series, but again for me not only, definitely, and then don't get discouraged by that. And the series I'm talking about is called Euphoria. Euphoria from 2019 is a story about drug addict girl in USA who is just coming back from rehab. Basically the whole like little city environment of living, struggles with drugs, and it kind of touches a lot of problems from prostitution to abuse in relationships, these kind of aspects. Again, in this kind of series, because I am like that, I really do pay attention on editing, on the whole thing. It's not just the scenario. The scenario can be great. There's so many average series that are really this kind of American style, and they don't really bring much into our life. That's why I really appreciate when something new shows up in terms of aesthetic, in terms of editing, lights. And I think lights, colors in this series are phenomenal. I really recommend everyone who enjoys this kind of neon-y atmosphere, nice outfits, also beautiful actors as well. In many of these series that I'm talking about, actors are also amazing. Zendaya, who plays the main character, it is a really heartbreaking and also emotionally engaging series that I definitely recommend you to watch. Not the lightest one, definitely, but really beautiful as well. Number 6, and this is actually my recent discovery. I literally finished the series like 2 or 3 days ago, and the thing about me is that I binge watch series. I don't just watch series once a week whatsoever. I literally watch one whole season in one day. That's what I am. The series I'm talking about is Queen's Gambit. So the Queen's Gambit is actually from this year, and this is a story about a chess player from USA as well. This is more of a drama, personal story, because it's like a biography of one character. The colors, the way this series looks like, it's also placed in like, I think it's 1960s, 70s, I might be wrong about that, but basically the costumes, the scenography, home decor, interior design, everything there, music is just so incredibly beautiful. It's absolutely stunning. Her character, the story is just so engaging. You don't even realize that you're finishing next episode, and I really recommend you to watch this one. If you like the aesthetic of Grand Hotel Budapest, for example, this is definitely something for you. Okay, number 7, and this will be something also quite recent for me, but not so recent on general. It's a pretty old series. I mean, it came out like a few years back. This is a series that my sister started to watch, and in first place I was really skeptical because I am not a huge fan of musicals, and I do enjoy it, but not to the point to like, I don't know, I've never really liked Glee. But this one is really unusual, and it's definitely not for everyone. So series number 7 is The Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, and I will tell you why it's a really specific one. Basically, this is the kind of series that you need to have a huge distance to watch. Like, you cannot really take it fully seriously. It's a really absurd type of thing. The way she acts, the way she behaves, the characters are not really serious. You can see it more of a story rather than a form of entertainment, but also with a lot of cringe, with a lot of awkwardness. Maybe not in a way, for example, as The Office is. Why I really like this series, it's because it's really actually showing real problems, really specific problems that are going on in our society, but in a different way, in a way more light and normalized way. It talks about mental issues, body issues, about disorders, about our sexuality, about struggling with life decisions, toxic relationships that we have with our parents, and consequences. Again, I would say don't get discouraged watching a few episodes, because the main character will annoy you a lot. Like, trust me, I hated it. I hated almost every character in this series in like first season, and I was thinking, oh my god, how can you be so ridiculous? But at the same time, after you watch a little bit more, you kind of realize that we all have a little bit of Rebecca in ourselves, and we all get ridiculous like that sometimes. We just don't express it, or we just don't allow ourselves to act like her and be honest. Like, if she wants to say something, she will just go for it, and sometimes you are cringing and feeling ashamed for her. And you kind of start to realize, why am I like that? Why am I feeling this way? Like, she's right to express her feelings, and if she's hurt and she's showing it. But yet, as a society, we are kind of programmed to not express certain things because it's not appropriate to do so. So I really believe that it kind of breaks some sort of barriers and makes you think a little bit more about yourself. And also, as I said, I am not personally a fan of musicals, but the songs, the lyrics of these songs are just so on point and so relatable and so funny that I really do recommend you to watch this one if you enjoy this kind of things. Number 8, and as you can see already, I'm really trying to make these series completely differentiated. So each of them is a really specific genre, it's a different type of series mentioning completely different things. And number 8 for me is Atypical, and I will explain to you why. If you think about American series, when you have typical American family living in this beautiful huge house with 2 cars, dad working, children going to schools, and you know, all of the struggles that they go through, this is this kind of series. There's nothing really exceptional about it in that sort of way. Like Modern Family, for example, this is also a really similar thing. The problem, or the idea of Atypical, is that the main character, or like one of the main characters, is autistic, and we can see the struggles that they go through in terms of the whole family, how he behaves, how it affects everyone around him, how parents are dealing with it. And I think it also really opens our eyes as a society to how to deal with these kind of situations, or like things we didn't really realize that can be a struggle for people. I think it's a really realistic show in that matter. When you have a family and you have situation like cheating going on, and things are not so easy as we may think they are. So I really enjoyed it. From like, it's a bit more psychological drama family type of series, but if you're into these kind of things, I really recommend you to watch this one. On a side note, I'm not gonna mention it here, but I'm actually watching right now another series, which is a documentary called Love on the Syndrome on Netflix, which is also about autistic people dating, and I think it's amazing as well. If you like documentaries, if you like watching people from different types of lives dealing with different struggles, and I think it's amazing. It's really great to watch, and yeah, I definitely recommend that one. Number 8, I hope I'm not confusing right now anything, and this will be a difficult one again, but I feel like I need to mention it. I know a lot of people heard about this series, especially considering the whole situation right now in Poland and even in US as well. Speaking of women's rights and abortion and everything going on around it. The Handmaid's Tale. This is a series that is one of the most heartbreaking and difficult to watch series in my opinion. It shows the story of a country that have had problems in the past with having children, and people are becoming infertile for some reason, and there are not too many women that can have children anymore. So the ones that are able to be having children and are not from the richest type of class of people, that they become handmaids. The whole idea of the series is coming from a biblical story where I'm not gonna tell you exactly the one, but it's basically about the idea where the couple couldn't have children, so they had another lady come into their marriage who would give birth like a surrogate for them. Everything that is going on there is a complete absurd, but if you like this kind of concepts of like future, reality, dystopia, Black Mirror with the religion involved, not only technology, difficult to watch but really makes you think. Okay, number 9, and this is completely different one because this is an animation, and I'm not a fan of animated series at all, to be honest. Like, this is not really my vibe, but this is the only one that I've actually enjoyed that much, and I'm talking about Big Mouth. So I don't know if you've ever tried watching animated series. If you did, you probably know this one, like BoJack Horseman and all of that, Rick and Morty. I tried, they were not really that much of my vibe, but this one, it's about puberty. It's a series about growing up, about being a teenager, about struggles. It contains strong language and it is really literal and telling. So even though it is about puberty and you might think that it is a series for teenagers, it's actually not really. How to say it? It's a really basic humor, but also quite enjoyable and relatable. Not sometimes it crosses my personal lines in a way that some things there I consider a little bit too much and be like, oh my god, no. But if you do like this kind of straightforward humor and without thinking too much, really light series that you can just chill and laugh, this is definitely the one that you should watch. Okay, next one. I'm not sure if we're on 9 or we're on 10. I think we're on 9, but if I'm mistaken, I will obviously correct it. So series number 9, and this is the one that kind of blew up a year ago, I suppose, and many of you will actually know this one, but I wanted to mention it anyway because I feel like I haven't mentioned any kind of fantasy story because I'm not really watching many of them, but maybe also because I'm Polish and I kind of take pride in the fact that it is based on a Polish book, and I'm talking about The Witcher. So this is a series that is kind of fantasy, adventure. It shows a different reality of The Witcher. The Witcher called Geralt, who is hunting monsters, and don't get discouraged, I know it doesn't sound that great, but the whole story is quite dark. It's not definitely a series for children only, no, don't get me wrong, it's a definitely adult type of series. Again, if you appreciate costumes, if you like the vibe of, like, let's say Game of Thrones with like castles and kind of almost medieval ages background and a little bit of the witchcrafting, magic, witches and dark magic, then this is something that you will definitely enjoy as well. Alright, and then the last one, I hope it's a 10, not 11, but anyways, I have so many more, but I had to select only these ones because this video would take forever. If you're also like me, not a huge fan of Friends, How I Met Your Mother, Big Bang Theory, I know there are many people who really do enjoy these kind of comedy series, sitcoms. I'm unfortunately not. I don't really get this humor. I don't really enjoy them, please don't judge me, but I just don't. But the series that I really did enjoy, and this is also a kind of American humor, but a little bit different from these ones. This is not a typical sitcom. It's Brooklyn 99. I know many of you love this series and know this series. If you don't, I really recommend you this one. When I first heard the name and I was like, this is a police in New York department sitcom kind of comedy, I'm like, oh no, it's not gonna be for me. But it's so great. All the characters, the way it's built, it's extremely funny, extremely light. If you just want to switch off yourself from the whole world and enjoy it, then I really recommend you to go for this one. The characters there are so hilarious, and I guarantee you, you're gonna spend some great time. Unfortunately, the last season is unavailable on Netflix. It's on Amazon Prime, but you obviously need to pay for this one, so I'm kind of hesitating for now, and I'm hoping it will show up someday for me. But anyways, I really do recommend you this one. Right, so that would be my last one. I obviously have so many different series that I loved, because as I said, I have a lot of different ones, but these are the ones that I thought that I would share with you. If you would like to see a part 2, let me know. Let me know what you thought about these series if you've already watched them. If you haven't, let me know which one speaks to you and you find the most interesting one. Thank you so much for being here with me, and I see you on my next one. Bye bye.